small amount of information can be held there. And second, the information can only be held for a short amount of time. It fades as soon as we shift our attention elsewhere. The new always pushes out the old. Still, our short-term working memory is an essential part of our psychological present. It links separate stimuli into episodes and then into stories as we engage in conversations, work, read, play, and just take in the world. Short-term memory does all this, yet it still cannot hold anything for more than about half a minute. And it can only store from 5 to 9 items, with an average of 7. So how can we get around these limitations of short-term memory? First, our memories can be held for a longer time if we rehearse the new information carefully without distractions. And second, more information can be held if we group items according to some pattern or something we're already familiar with. This is a process called chunking. A chunk can be a word, a meaningful phrase, or a number sequence. And 7 chunks can have a lot more information in them than 7 items. For instance, after I say the following sequence aloud, I want you to repeat it back to me number for number. Here goes. 1, 7, 7, 6, 1, 8, 1, 2, 1, 8, 6, 1, 1, 9, 1, 4, 1, 9, 4, 1. It's tough, isn't it? Now I wonder how well you do if I read the sequence this way. 1776, 1812, 1861, 1914, 1941. Instead of 20 numbers to remember, you have only 5 dates. Instead of 20 bits, 5 chunks of familiar information from American history.
We learn new material by relating it, associating it to old material, to things that we already
Gordon Bauer, a Stanford psychologist, specializes in techniques which enhance memory, known as mnemonic training techniques.
Every memory problem can be broken down into several stages. One has to do with storing the material originally, that is, originally learning it when you're studying it. And the other stage has to do with being able to retrieve it at the time you're being tested and asked for recall. There are several techniques for improving one's memory, and one of these that's very effective is called the PHIG word, mnemonic. And here the idea is to first learn a set of cues or a set of reminders, PHIGs they're called, which you will then use to associate with things that you are to remember. So remember this. 1 is a bun.
1 is a bun.
2 is a shoe.
2 is a shoe.
3 is a tree.
3 is a tree.
4 is a door.
4 is the door.
5 is a beehive.
5 is a beehive.
All right, these are the items of unrelated words I'd like you to remember. Associate each item on the list with successive PHIGs. First, or number 1, is lamp.
Lamp.
So associate that with bun.
Bun. Lamp is heating, the lamp is heating the bun.
Right. 2 is gloves.
2 is shoe. The gloves are covering the shoe.
Right. Number 3 is fire.
Okay. 3 is tree. The tree is on fire.
Right. 4 is spoon.
4 is door. The spoon is opening the door.
5 is ashtray.
5 is beehive. The ashtray is in front of the beehive.
Okay, very good. What was the third item in the list?
Fire. The tree is on fire.
I'd like you to go backwards through the list of items for me.
Okay. 5, beehive, ashtray.
Right.
4, door, spoon.
Right.
3, tree, fire.
Right.
2, shoe, glove. 1, lamp. 1, bun, lamp.
Right. You got them all right. Good. Now, you can see how there's a dovetailing between the storage procedure, the learning procedure, and the retrieval plan. And most mnemonics have that kind of nice dovetailing.
Sigmund Freud was the first to recognize that what we remember and what we choose to forget can help maintain our sense of integrity and self-esteem. Freud labeled the process repression, in which the ego is defended against unacceptable thoughts and information by pushing them out of awareness, by repressing them, and storing them in the realm of the unconscious. But some of them, says Freud, will struggle free and show up in disguised form, in dreams, slips of the tongue, and symptoms of mental distress. Some memories are made more meaningful to us by what's called the constructive process of remembering. To make new information fit better with what we already know and believe, we accentuate some details, eliminate some, and reinterpret others. In this way, we construct consistent themes and coherent stories, even from information that is inconsistent and ambiguous. These two processes form a central principle of memory. How and what you remember is determined by who you are and what you already know. There's an awful lot of people and information to take in here on any given day. But how much of it will I remember? As we've seen, the answer is going to depend not only on how much I concentrate and how many distractions there are, but also on who I am and what I already know. But how will all these factors translate into the actual functioning of my memory? Well, the answer has to do with something called schemas. Schemas are frameworks of our basic ideas and preconceptions about people, objects, and situations. All the new information we learn is organized by relating it to existing schemas. And many of our constructions of memory and distortions arise as we try to fit new information into old schemas. How much would you be able to recall about what is in this office? In an experiment to demonstrate the power of schemas, subjects spent a few minutes in this room. Later they were questioned about its contents. The subject's recall was strongly influenced by their schema of what a typical office contains. They correctly recalled items that matched those of the office schema, did less well recalling items that weren't part of the schema, and falsely remembered items that are usually in offices but aren't in this one. Schemas also influence our perception and understanding of the world. The San Francisco artist Franco Magnani painted this scene of the Italian town where he was born entirely from memory. He hasn't seen the town since he left it, some 30 years ago. Now compare some of his other paintings with these recent photos of the town as it really is, a town that has hardly changed. Although many details are accurately recalled, some are distorted by a child's perspective, by Magnani's boyhood schema. At work here are the dual memory processes of remarkable accuracy and significant distortions. Ongoing research about memory is leading psychologists to many discoveries about its nature. But beyond theories about how memory works or doesn't work is the physical reality of the process. When something is remembered, there's a corresponding physical change in the brain itself. Memories make lasting alterations in the structure and functioning of the central nervous system. Every bit of information you acquire in your lifetime is encoded in the neurons of the brain. These memory traces, or engrams, make up the biological substrate of human memory.